Good evening, wherever you're joining us from. My name is Patricia Roxton Hammond, coming to you live from our studios at Kwabenya Point 1. This is NEWSBOARD. Let's take a look at the headlines in Ghana and around the world. President Akufo-Addo urges Ghanaians to exercise patience as government works to mitigate their plight amidst the challenges confronting the economy. Interior Minister says government has instituted stringent measures to deal decisively with the security situation in Boko. The Ghana National Gas Company plans to expand its infrastructure to Burkina Faso. And Russia forces have seized control of a key port city in southern Ukraine. You can also watch us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at NewTVGH. And now to the details. President Akufo-Addo is asking Ghanaians to exercise patience as the government works to mitigate their plight amidst the challenges confronting the economy. He said just as the country's founders painstakingly worked to ensure Ghana's independence, his government will also take time to build the economy.
Speaking at the 2022 Head of State Awards in Accra, President Akufo-Addo assured Ghanaians of better days ahead. Quote, "We must have the pride to acknowledge that we have made positive strides. We must also have the humility to appreciate that we still have some way to go. We must have the patience to accept that just as our fight for freedom and independence was not achieved in a day, so too national prosperity will not come overnight," he said. He added that the government is ensuring a solid foundation that will lead to an economic takeoff for Ghana and will be to the admiration of Africa. Meanwhile, at a separate forum, Nana Akufo-Addo said it will be in the public interest for the controversial e-levy bill to be enacted into law. He said Ghana cannot continue to depend on foreign aid and must therefore find innovative ways, such as the e-levy, to raise revenue to finance its development.
The Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Godfrey Adame, has stated that it is unhealthy for summary trial to stay in court for up to 4 years. He said the development is defeatist to the constitutional imperative for a fair hearing within a reasonable time as captured in Article 19, Clause 1 of the Constitution.
Speaking at the inauguration of the Law Reform Commission Board in Accra on Tuesday, Mr. Adame said it would be refreshing for him to receive proposals for a review of the current Criminal Procedure Act, Act 30, in a manner as to aid in a real expeditious determination of summary trials. He wants the Commission to examine the possibility of amending Act 30 so as to virtually bar the possibility of persons utilizing appeals to frustrate the speedy resolution of criminal trials. The Attorney General noted that one important piece of legislation introduced in Parliament in the past year, which he believes will have a far-reaching consequences for the criminal justice system, is an amendment to the Criminal Procedure Act 1960, Act 30, to incorporate plea bargaining firmly into the trial of cases in Ghana. Mr. Adame said he considered the plea bargaining legislation a significant innovation in the process of reform of the criminal justice system in Ghana, as it will have the ultimate practical result of easing congestion in the country's prisons and improve the efficiency of prosecution.
The Interior Minister Ambrose Derry says government has instituted stringent measures to deal decisively with the security situation in the Upper East regional town of Boko. As part of effort to restore calm in the municipality, the minister assured that government has engaged the National Peace Council to intervene to resolve the renewed conflict in the area. He also indicated that security personnel have been deployed to the area to forestall any riot.
The Interior Minister revealed that the issue started with simple suspicion, followed by the deployment of both military and police. He made this known in Parliament on Wednesday after the minority leader asked him to update the House on what measures are in place to address the tension. The Tamale South MP added that he's frightened by the security situation in the area. In response, the Interior Minister expressed confidence that the series of intervention will completely address the situation for peace to be fully restored in the community. The renewed chieftaincy clashes in Baku have so far claimed the lives of some residents in the area.
The COVID-19 National Trust Fund received about 60 million Ghana cedis in cash donations between April 2020 and December 2021 to combat the pandemic. The administrator of the fund, Dr. William Collins Asari, has revealed. So far, he said, 50 million Ghana cedis of the donations has been disbursed to deal with the pandemic.
Donations received in kind, including vehicles, fuel coupons, and non-perishable food items, amounted up to 10.7 million Ghana cedis. Giving details, Dr. Asari said funds were transferred to 23 public and private institutions, including schools, for sensitization as well as the provision of personal protective equipment. There were also laboratory supplies, the provision of oxygen plants, among other items, to some health facilities, while funds were given to the Obeyeye Foundation for the training of hearing-impaired persons. According to the administrator, during the first 4 months of its establishment, the fund received 57 million Ghana cedis in cash donations.
The Ghana Scholarship Secretariat, in collaboration with the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, has launched an enhanced scholarship scheme to allow persons with disability in tertiary institutions to meet their fundamental educational demands.
The scheme, dubbed the Disabled Grant for Students in Tertiary Education, has 3 forms of major boost, including a continuous professional development program for instructors at the various special needs departments. It also has a scholarship for academic user facility fee for PWDs and a 200% increment in the disability grant. The registrar of the Scholarship Secretariat, Mr. Kingsley Ajimine, indicated during the launch at the University of Education, Winneba, last Wednesday that the initiative would assist alleviate the difficult economic situations that confront PWD in their pursuit for higher education. He added that the initiative would also encourage those with similar circumstances to pursue higher education and lessen the difficulty they experience as they strive to improve their academic standing. Mr. Ajimai urged philanthropic and religious organizations to establish a disability endowment fund to assist the government in its effort to alleviate the severe economic situations persons with disabilities faced. He said other institutions need to step in to supplement the government's efforts because it was a large area that needed everyone's help.
Some colleges of education in the country will be upgraded to full-fledged university status. The Minister of Education, Dr. Yao Osei Educhum, has hinted. He announced the plans were far advanced in that direction, explaining that the move would ensure that such universities would be able to operate on their own and run their own programs towards the development and transformation of the nation.
Minister of Education said, quote, "After operating for between 50 and 100 years, why must such colleges continue to be affiliated to other universities although they qualify to be autonomous?" Dr. Educhum announced this on Monday, March 3, 2022, when the new leadership of the Ghana National Association of Teachers paid a courtesy call on him in Accra. The meeting was to introduce the new leaders who were elected into office in January during their Memorial Congress in Kumasi. The Education Minister said a memo on the upgrading of the colleges had been sent to Cabinet for study and approval before the necessary actions and process would be followed.
And on to some business stories. The Ghana National Gas Company is planning to expand its infrastructure by extending the Isiama-Prestia pipeline to Burkina Faso through Kumasi to serve the Ameri plants being relocated to Kumasi. The company also has plans to create more redundancy by constructing its own Takrady-Tema pipeline to link the western and eastern corridors.
According to Parliament's Majority Chief Whip, there are plans to link the pipelines through Etiwa to Kumasi. For safe bottling and distribution of LPG, the company has commenced the construction of an LPG bottling plant, which is located in Axim. All these projects are expected to be constructed and operated by Ghanaian engineers, going a long way to reduce unemployment and also promote the indigenization drive. The Ghana National Gas Company, a strategic gas midstream company incorporated in July 2011, during former President John Dramani Maham's tenure, is mandated to build, own, and operate infrastructure required for gathering, processing, transporting, and marketing natural gas resources in Ghana and other countries. The MP said the indigenization of the Etiabo gas processing plant has yielded national benefits, including a monthly bill of $3 million, totaling $36 million annually as costs for engaging these services of the expatriates.
Deputy Finance Minister Dr. John Kuma has expressed government's readiness to increase Ghana's tax capacity to ensure development. He said government will broaden the tax base and make its administration work more efficiently.
Speaking at the inauguration of the Ashanti Regional Youth Parliament on the theme, the Ghanaian taxation systems and sustainability of her development, the politics and realities, Mr. Kuma indicated the country can only develop through taxation. His comments come at the back of the proposed e-levy, which has generated a lot of controversies. According to him, increasing tax revenues has become even more important in the context of the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, with the fiscal deficit forecast at 9.4% of GDP in 2021 and public debt at the end of September estimated at 78% of GDP. He affirmed no country has ever attained sustainable development by depending on aid and not putting in efforts to improve domestic tax revenue mobilization.
The High Court has ordered the Governor of Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, to produce and tender into the court on March 10 the statement of accounts of defunct Capital Bank. Lawyers of Ato Asian, the prosecuted founder of the capital in receivership, praised the court to compel the central bank governor to produce the document.
It remains unclear the trajectory this statement of account will take the case to, but it remains Mr. Ato Asian's position that the money he's being prosecuted for remains in the accounts of Consolidated Bank. The presiding judge, a justice of the Court of Appeal, sitting as an additional High Court judge, directed the order at the central bank chief, who in turn is to direct the appropriate department of the central bank to produce the statement of account. The Bank of Ghana had asked the court to set aside a counterclaim by Mr. Ato Asian, challenging a suit filed against him and 15 other shareholders by the receivers of Capital Bank over the alleged role in the collapse of the bank.
We'll be right back with more news after this break. Welcome back. And on to some international news. A former police officer who was part of the security team tasked with guarding murdered Haitian President Jovenel Moïse has been handed over to the authorities in Haiti. Tanis Philome was arrested in the Dominican Republic. He has denied any involvement in the assassination of the president.
He was shot dead by gunmen who entered his home. Questions have been raised as to where his security team was at the time. Haitian police alleged a hit squad of many foreign mercenaries, 26 Colombians and 2 Haitian Americans carried out the killing. Bullet casings were found strewn across the ground around the property, but the only 2 people shot were the president and his wife, raising suspicion that some members of security team may have been in on the attack. The president, who suffered 12 bullet wounds, died at the scene. His wife was seriously injured but survived. Mr. Philome is the latest in a long line of suspects to be arrested in connection with the case, but the investigation into who ordered the murder has made little progress in the 8 months since the assassination.
Russian forces have seized control of key port cities in southern Ukraine, the mayor says. Kherson is the first major city to be taken by Russia after heavy fighting since it invaded a week ago. Its mayor said Russian troops had forced their way into the city council building and imposed a curfew on residents.
Several cities have come under intense shelling, with Wednesday one of the most destructive days of the fighting. An investigation into possible war crimes and crimes against humanity committed in Ukraine has been launched by the International Criminal Court. Russia has for the first time admitted taking heavy military casualties during its attack on Ukraine, with over 400 troops killed and a further over 1,000 injured. Ukraine says Russia's losses run into thousands. Ukraine reports that more than 2,000 civilians have died since the invasion began last Thursday. The conflict has also caused more than 1 million people to flee Ukraine, according to the UN.
A Saudi man has been sentenced to death for a second time after being convicted of a retrial of a crime he allegedly committed as a child. His family says he was 14 years old when he was arrested in 2017 on charges of murder and armed robbery.
The Supreme Court had overturned his original conviction last year. Human rights activists said CCTV footage showed he was not at the scene of the crime and that he was tortured into signing a false confession. Abdullah al-Huwaiti was first sentenced to death in 2019 after he was convicted by the criminal court of shooting dead a policeman while robbing a jewelry shop. 5 other defendants were handed 15-year prison terms for allegedly aiding and abetting the crimes. All 6 had pleaded not guilty, telling the judge the interrogators coerced their confessions through torture or threat of it, human rights activists said. The judge also ignored CCTV footage showing that Huwaiti was not near the jewelers at the time of the crime. The Court of Appeal upheld the conviction in January 2021, but the Supreme Court threw it out in November and ordered a retrial.
And on to some sports stories. Novak Djokovic's chances of playing in May's French Open have improved after the country's government eased vaccine passport rules. Prime Minister Jean Castex announced vaccine passport would no longer be needed to access venues from 14th March.
In February, Djokovic defended his right to choose whether to get the coronavirus vaccine after being deported from Australia in January. Vaccination is still a requirement to play in the United States. For that reason, Djokovic is expected to miss March's Master Series events in Indian Wells and Miami. Djokovic's next tournament could be April's Monte Carlo Masters. The 34-year-old Serb lost the quarterfinals as he played his first tournament of the year in Dubai at the end of February. Djokovic will be defending champion if he plays at the French Open, which begins on 22nd May.
Yao Preko has rejoined Accra Great Olympics as an assistant coach until the end of the 2021-2022 football season, the club has announced. The former Heart of Oak and ex-Media Markt trainer returns to the club for the second time in a year, having played a stand-in role for head coach Daniel Arnold Walker, while he was excused from duties on held grounds during last season's Ghana Premier League.
As caretaker coach, he led Olympics to a famous 2-0 victory over Hearts of Oak as he guided the Wonder Club to 3 wins, 1 loss, and a draw. He left Olympics to take up the role of head coach of Mediama in March last year as a replacement for coach Samuel Bwedu, who made a sensational move to Hearts. However, he parted ways with the club at the end of the season as they decided against extending his contract.
And on to entertainment, US-based Ghanaian reggae musician and 2-time Grammy nominee Rocky Downey says Ghana needs to establish a high-life museum that will honor and recognize the contributions of legends.
Rocky Downey, in an interview with GNA Entertainment, said some of these high-life legends projected Ghanaian music onto the globe scene, hence the need for the museum. According to him, all genres being produced in Ghana now has the foundation of the high-life genres in them. Therefore, they need to honor these legends for their impact. The reggae musician further made mention of the importance of the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization to recognize and support high-life music. Rocky Downey has been nominated for the Grammy Awards for the second time after bagging his first nomination with his 2015 release Branch of the Same Tree album, followed by his Voice of Bon Bon Volume 1 album, which has also fetched him a nomination at the 64th Grammy Awards.
And that's it for NEWSBOARD. Let's take a look again at our headlines. President Akufo-Addo urges Ghanaians to exercise patience as government works to mitigate their plight amidst the challenges confronting the economy. Interior Minister says government has instituted stringent measures to deal decisively with the security situation in Boko. The Ghana National Gas Company plans to expand its infrastructure to Burkina Faso. And Russia forces have seized control of a key port city in southern Ukraine. Thanks for watching. My name is Patricia Roxanne Hammond. We came to you live from our studios at Kwabenya Point 1. Good evening.